Captain, look at this.
What have we here?
It's a sea chest. We just discovered it down in the ship's hold, and there was a sound coming from it.
A sound? Let's open the chest and find out the source of the noise.
It's a boy, a stowaway.
How did you get on board?
I booked through Murray Travel.
What is your name?
I'm Nichols, and I'm 14 years old. I'm a student at Middle School in Houston.
We haven't discovered Houston yet, but I think it's scheduled on our calendar manager. Why have you snuck aboard our ship?
I'll tell you my story, then you'll understand why this voyage means so much to me.
Speak your piece, lad.
In about 500 years, it will be my time. That will be about 1992. I'll be born with a heart defect, so it is imperative that this journey be a success. So I had to be here to encourage you along. There will be an old saying in Central America that if you have a good vocabulary, a microphone, and a stool to stand on, then someday you may become dictator. So I want to thank y'all for this microphone. If I can just get a stool and one of these spelling bees in time, I may, in time, become dangerous. In the meantime, I'm Jeff Nichols. Most of you don't know me, but because of your involvement in the American Heart Association, we were destined to meet. You're a giver and needed to be thanked. I'm a taker, and I came to say thanks. I really am grateful to the Houston Post and Channel 13. They did stories on me a few months ago. Since then, I've become famous. I never realized how many important people are reached by these. 3 weeks ago, I received a letter, and it said, I quote, "Don't give up. There's a place in the world for little boys. I know that you can make it, because I did." It was from Dan Quayle. At the bottom of the letter was the office phone number, so I dialed it. It was after hours, and a man answered. I said that I want to speak to the man at the top, the one who had made it in charge, the one who had made it at such a young age. I want to speak to Dan Quayle. And a voice at the other end said, "Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen in this juncture." You're probably wondering why I was chosen over everybody else to be here today. The big reason, there wasn't anybody else. The other reason is because of my involvement in stand-up comedy. Some of you are actually asking yourself, how long has he been doing stand-up comedy? I feel that I should share with you that I'm awaiting an official invitation to be on The Tonight Show. In fact, I've been waiting 3 months for Jay Leno to return my call. If he didn't call by the end of the year, I'll be forced to cancel him from my schedule and go on to bigger and better things. And you know, being a heart patient isn't all that bad. In fact, I enjoy 3 of them. First of all, most girls want to know what diet I want to keep my weight down. Why are you so skinny? How do you do it? And number 2, people tell me that I don't look my age. So young, so youthful. Some say, "Jeffrey, you look so mature." I suppose that means young. And number 3, being a heart patient, people are always feeling sorry for me. And everybody I know likes attention. So the big 3 today is diet, youth, and attention. And I've got all 3. And you know, I've noticed at school, all the girls my age like the guys that are macho. You know, tall, dark, and handsome. Well, being a heart patient, I've had to settle for short, light, and cute. transferred out. It would be the first of many trips to Texas Children's Hospital. After further testing, they discovered that one lung had collapsed in the upper lobe and was overextended in the lower. The cath showed that I had pseudotrunchus, which means no pulmonary artery. Only small blood vessels were taking the blood to my lungs. There was a hole between the bottom chambers of my heart that turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because that allowed the red and the blue bloods to mix. I spent 5 weeks in intensive care and had lots of tubes and equipment. I lost 2 pounds during that time. That was the beginning of my famous weight loss program that was to follow me through life. I lost 20% of my body weight in just 30 days. As young as I was beginning to see that Texas Children's was going to be my kind of place. I spent 5 weeks, on Thanksgiving Day, I was transferred to intermediate care. I was still on oxygen. Later, the nurses could not get my visual attention and thought all the long time on oxygen had made me blind. Tests proved otherwise. Actually, what it was, I was in deep, deep concentration. I was working on the speech for today. On December 16, 1977, I went home. My mom spent 2.5 hours of every 4 hours taking care of me. She fed me every hour around the clock. While in the hospital, I was fed on a milk drip. Well, doing that, I forgot how to suck. Talking about the pits. A baby, they can't suck? Because of that, Mom had to learn how to put a tube down my nose to my stomach so I could eat. I remember wanting to ask Mom if we were having fun yet. On January 6, 1978, I went back to the hospital for another 10 days. Nothing important. They just thought I was dying. My parents were then informed that I would be in and out of the hospital for almost every little thing. Well, after that, the years began to pass. I became stronger and bigger, not to mention sweeter. I gained my 2 pounds back and was well on my way to becoming big. The tube and the nose meals gave way to Jack in the Box. I understood early in life why people like to eat out. As I began to grow, my lungs had difficulty receiving oxygenated blood because of my defect. I began to get weaker and short of breath, so my doctor knew that I would soon need corrective surgery. Dr. Denton Cooley was asked to do the surgery. His mission was to try to connect the small blood vessel with the conduit. If not, then he would install a Cooley shunt, I didn't come to be known. Once they opened my massive chest in June of '86, Dr. Cooley was only able to do the shunt. He told my parents that in a few years I would probably need additional surgery. I was 8 years old at the time, and it was easy to tell the surgery did me some good, because in PE, I was not able to outrun most of the girls. About 18 months ago, Dr. Nichols, after doing a heart cath, said that I would need additional surgery. The girls were starting to outrun me again. Dr. Rule, who was on Dr. Cooley's team, would be the best surgeon since he had been doing this type of surgery for about 5 years. We scheduled the surgery, and on the morning of the surgery, the doctor called. He said that he would not do surgery. He said more research needed to be done, and I needed to wait a while. You may remember Rick Kinsella. He owned a farm in the cornfields of Iowa. He had a vision that he would build a baseball park, and the legendary heroes of yesteryear would come to play on his field of dreams. And a quiet, persistent voice kept saying to him, "If you will build it, then he will come." So he tore down the cornfields and built a baseball park in his own backyard. And sure enough, it began to happen. Shoeless Joe Jackson, who never had a second chance to return to the game, came to the cornfields to realize his dream. And Doc Graham, who was never good enough to play in many games, came to fulfill his lifelong dream to get his only hit in the major leagues. But the last person to come to Ray's Field of Dreams was his own dad, John Kinsella. But the movie ended too soon. Perhaps had it fulfilled one more dream, and it would have had a better ending. And that dream would be of a little boy who never got to play the game. Only with his father in the front yard if he wasn't too tired when he came home from work. So the little boy who lives in USA, America, would come to the Field of Dreams with no name, crack of a bat. And his dreams would be fulfilled as he ran the bases to the roar of the crowd. The point of the Field of Dreams is simply this. If you believe in the impossible, then the incredible can come true. Had I been born at the time of my older brothers, the doctors would have looked at my life and said, "Oh, that's impossible." But if I live to be 30 years old, the same doctor will have to look back and say, "Oh, that's incredible." Because of research today, and because of you, and because you care, the incredible can come true. At the baseball park, they will lead us to believe that dreams are what life is made of. But at the American Heart Association, we have learned so well that life is what dreams are made of. Dr. Grant finally discovered, when he came to the Field of Dreams, that his real ambition in life was not getting hit in majors, but his real dream was doing exactly what he did in real life, helping the little children to get well, be happy, and have a better life. Before I leave, I want to tell you about Gene Gates. Gene Gates was born April 11th. He had a heart problem, probably much like mine. He loved to play baseball, but the doctors wouldn't let him. He persisted and persisted and persisted, but the doctor refused. Finally, after much more persistence, they agreed to let him play on a limited basis. There would be no uniforms, no grandstands, and no PA system, just recess at school. But to Gene, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. As Gene stepped up to take his first swing of the bat, his thoughts were most likely about the Hall of Fame, home runs, and applause and appreciation. As his bat connected and saw the ball travel to the outfield, dreams were now becoming realities. As he rounded first base, he saw that there were extra bases in order. Not bad for the first time at bat. And as he rounded second and going to third, the realization that all things are possible. A late throw, off the mark, and zingo, he might even score. But between third and home plate, the real truth was about to be told. It would now be a matter of timing. The throw was on its way to the plate. Gene knew the ball was coming. It's a sixth sense that athletes have during crunch time. He knew that he would have to come in sitting down. That's what they call it when you try to slide under a throw. He'd seen it done many times. Now it would be his turn. During the next instant, 4 things would happen. 3 of them would be as planned. First, there'd be a cloud of dust. And second, the ump would call the runner safe. And third, his teammates would clap and cheer because they were happy. They're happy because it was a home run. They're happy because it was his first time at bats. And they're happy because it was his first game ever. When his teammates came to dust him off and pat him on the back, they were not prepared for what they had found. Their hero was still guarding the plate, almost like he didn't want to give it up. The laughter and applause gave way to silence as the teacher called for the ambulance. It was later determined that when Gene slid into home plate, he suffered a heart attack. And on the way to the hospital, in the ambulance, he died. Probably the last thing that Gene Gates remembered in his life was a home run. It was April 1st, 1952, at Clarksville, Mississippi. He was only 9 years old. Now I tell you this story for only one reason, and that is to remind you of the great advancements that have taken place for research for heart disease during the last 40 years. And most of this research would not have been possible had it not been for the help of the American Heart Association. So I stand before you today as a byproduct of what you're all about. And having been able to borrow time from the future, my life is evidence that what you're all about is working. Perhaps it was the attitude of the American Heart Association that John Donne had in mind in 200 years when he writes these words. Whenever a man dies, I am diminished because I am involved in mankind. part of the main. For no man is an island, entire of himself. If you never know anything else about Jeff Nichols, know that you will never be an island. I live today because of research, cardiologists, surgeons, hospital care, and the help of the American Heart Association. I'm encouraged today because of the work of the American Heart Association. I am diminished today because of the Gene Gates of the world that never made it this far. So I want to thank you for what you're doing and what you're trying to build. Because of what you're building, myself and thousands more like me and Gene Gates are able to come to our field of dreams. And the quiet little voice that you hear today says to you, if you will continue to build it, then we will come.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Jeffrey. You brought home to us today why our voyage is so important. In recognition of that, we'd like to make you an honorary crew member.
Thank you.
No more time for courtesies. Be off with you.
Sir, I was wondering if I could have something to eat. I've been a stowaway for an awfully long time.
You've got to work to eat. But you do look like you could stand a little grub. Go down to the ship's hold. There are some vending machines in the galley. You might find some Chips Ahoy or something like that. Then report to the second mate. You have duties to perform.